weird. Also, to get back to just a little bit of adder breeding, the other thing as well, you know, whenever you're keeping something in captivity, you can sort of do a little bit better than they do in the wild because you're controlling it. This female adder here, she would you believe it? Is there? Can anyone see my hook? Yeah, believe it or not, on Monday night, this female gave birth to 14 babies. And she's just gone into a slough now, and you can see she looks good enough to breed again already. And of course, you know, we've dropped this litter of 14 babies. You know, sort of 2 months earlier than they would be born in the wild, and so if they were for a reintroduction programme, obviously, you see all them under there. So obviously, can you put that down there for us? Okay. So you know, obviously we could, you know, we could produce more adders faster from this sort of population, and the same with king cobras as well. But I don't think we will ever be reintroducing king cobras into the wild, you know. But you know, I'm hoping that we can actually save them, you know, with the remnant populations that are there. But what it means is that there's a choice, and by that, the best example I can think of is on Mauritius, the pink pigeon was made extinct, and Jersey Wildlife Trust got in touch with all the private keepers in the UK that have got pink pigeons and said, you know, can we have your pigeons on breeding loan? Bred a load of pink pigeons, took them over to Mauritius, bred them in Mauritius, released them, and an extinct species is now back on that island. And the only reason being is when you know, Mauritius was a sort of a sailor's stop off, and they just sort of plundered the island and killed everything they could. One or two people thought, I've got a mate at home keeps pigeons, he'd love a couple of these pink ones, you know, we'll take them on the bow. And if anyone would have thought, oh, I've got a mate at home would like some of those bloody fat turkey-looking birds, you know, then we'd be reintroducing the dodo back to Mauritius now. Yeah. But because none of them were brought back, so that's what I mean. You know, my adders, they're a safety net. I'm hoping my king cobras are a safety net. I hope we never have to do it. But in the meantime, that we're learning things about king cobras that we would have never have learnt without my colony. For example, Freak Vonk, he's already took samples from the king cobras here and isolated the king cobra genome and broke it down into 3 billion pairs, and I don't really completely understand it, but he's going to give us some sort of, you know, some sort of idea of why the king cobra has turned into the biggest venomous snake in the world that it has. But what he's doing again above this is he's coming over and taking embryos from us at various stages of development, and when you take a genome from an embryo, the embryo actually mimics evolution as it grows, far on the genome level, far closer than just taking a sample from an adult does. So at the end of this 3-year study, we'll know from the point of view of the tester in the laboratory why a king cobra has turned out to be what it is. And if we didn't have this facility here, that would be completely impossible. And between all the different, we're doing a study on phenology, which is like the taxonomy of the king cobra, and the king cobra has been one species since, like, you know, 1836 when Cantor described it, and it's pretty obvious looking at all the king cobras that there's more than one species. But no one in the before the sort of DNA technology that we've got now could describe king cobras as a different type, because you need a large enough sample of museum specimens to be able to say, I know the king cobra from, you know, say I know the Bartley king cobra because I've examined 100 Bartley king cobras, you know, in museums around the world, and it is a new species, and I'm proposing it. Well, there wasn't, you know, there's no museums got like masses of king cobras from any area. They've all got like 2 or 3, and they're normally poorly labelled, so you don't really know actually where they're from. But now with the DNA technology we've got, we're working with Nicholas Vidal, who's the curator of herpetology at the Museum of Natural History in France. And again, spookily enough, his favourite snake's the king cobra as well. And we've already found out that there are at least 4 species of king cobras. So we're hoping at the end of the study, we think there may even be up to 7. And the only thing that's really pissed me off is when Nicholas asked me to join in and help him with this study by gathering genetic material for him. I thought, oh great, at the end of it, because the amount of work I'm putting in, getting him all these sort of blood samples and stuff, he's bound to name one after me. And then when I sent him his first box of sort of samples over from various king cobra populations, through just friends who who live in different parts of the world who are interested in king cobras, he sort of emailed me and said, I'm going to absolutely insist that the paper, when it's finally put, and this is going to be, Dr. Ian Stevens, the curator of reptiles at London Zoo, he described the study as the most, as the most monumental pieces of herpetology that there will have been, in our lifetime. So for me to have my name on that piece of paper when it's submitted but it does mean that as I'm a co-author, I can't name a king cobra after me. So that's but when you're reading books at the moment, you see a picture of a king cobra, and it's next to it says Cantor 1836, as in described as Ophiophagus cantor. It will stay, if say we decide to call something Ophiophagus aderi, then it will next to it say Jobens Vidal forever. So I'm glad to get something out of it. Anyway, I thought I'd show you this litter of baby adders that we had born, and like I said, it was this female here who we bred her here and raised her up for like 3 years. And the reason she's not biting me isn't because we've bred her here, it's because of how I've picked them up. Trust me, if you stuck your fingers in front of their face, they would give you a nasty nip. And so anyway, we've had this litter of 15 babies born. Mark, it's Stacey around. Yep. If I get some of these adders out, are you capable of catching them all up later? Yeah. There's nowhere in here that's too nut and crack.
I just think we stamp it where the water holes are in the corners. If we stamp them down,
please don't get within biting range, but I will take these little babies around for you to have a look at. Don't worry, it'll be just fine. That one's got you. Now, this will sound absolutely crazy, but up to about 100 years ago, no, perhaps a little bit longer, in the sort of 19th century, they did actually think there was 2 species of viper in Great Britain, and one being the adder as we know it today, which are these black animals. They're aberrant animals. They're melanistic. Your normal sort of colours of adders are brown for females, and this sort of silvery grey for males, which they're more silvery grey in the springtime. So this one here has still got a bit of spring coloration to it, and they, so when they first come out of hibernation in the spring after that first shed, they really, really do look. Well, I've got a photograph of my silver adder with his breeding suit on.